Hey, it's the Trailer Island podcast. I'm Alex and I'm joined by
Steve.
And Matthew. I forgot my name for a moment.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
I think in anticipation of this week's episode, we should have changed the theme to something a little bit more synthy, a little bit more 80s.
We're already starting on this. Yeah.
We are, yes, we're the Trailer Island podcast where we compare films and their trailers. Did the film deliver what the trailer promised? And the trailer that we're getting today, I love.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I love this trailer.
Oh, I completely disagree, unless you're thinking of a different one that I have seen.
Well, they did have a few trailers for this film, so
Yeah.
perhaps whichever one we've chosen, and you
Quite
can
a
go.
lead-in for this movie.
It's been a long time waiting.
Been delayed twice?
Twice.
It's been delayed for about 2 years, I think, hasn't it?
1
year?
year? 1 year.
1 year, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the trailer that we're going to play you today is from about a year ago, which is.
Oh, that might be the one I do like, actually.
Oh, well, I'm glad.
Yeah, no, I'm just... Well,
I'm glad I can appease you, Matthew.
Well, I mean, it'd be nice, you know.
And Steve.
Oh, yeah, and Steve's here too. We can't forget Steve. Who would like to introduce...
I'll do it. This is WW84.
What?
That's what the marketing is.
That is how the film markets itself.
Wonder Woman 1984, everyone. Hit it, Johnny.
My name's Alex.
Oh. Hit it, Johnny.
My life hasn't been what you probably think it has. We all have our struggles.
Have you ever been in love?
A long, long time ago. You?
So many times. Yeah, all the time.
Welcome to the future. Life is good, but it can be better. And why shouldn't it be? All you need is to want it. Think about finally having everything you always wanted.
I can save today, but you can save the world.
Steve.
Now, I take what I want in return. Everyone will see. The world needs you. You know what you need to do.
Nothing good is born from lies, and greatness is not what you think.
Yeah, no, that is a good trailer. It's a great trailer. So they released one after that, which I think all three of us agree gave away far too much in the movie, and that I don't like that trailer.
Well...
I agree with that.
No? Okay.
So just on that trailer, you probably didn't hear much of it at all because it is full of Blue Monday by New Order, which isn't used in the film. But anyway, we'll get to that. That trailer gave me serious hype for this film. Going, this looks awesome. I am hyped for this. I'm hyped for the 80s music that's going to, be laced through it. I'm hyped for all the action that's going to be laced through it and explaining why all these things happen. And yeah.
Are you talking about Suicide Squad or this film?
Let's address the first thing.
Yeah, okay.
1984.
George Orwell.
Yeah.
Well, let's take it back one more step.
Okay,
We'll go, what is this film about?
Okay, all right.
I know that a podcast is going to be good because on the day we record them, Matt will usually come in and he will struggle to contain his opinion before the podcast.
Yeah.
He will get so excited about sharing what he thought, and I have to go, Matt, this is great, but this is all content that we can be using right now. Please be quiet.
Yeah, no, that happened twice today.
It did. So, Wonder Woman 1984 is the sequel to Wonder Woman that was released in the 2017. It doesn't seem to have any connection to the DC Extended Universe, but this film seems to... It picks up 1984, of course. Wonder Woman is working in a museum, and she happens to come across a stone and a villain who's after this stone, and the stone grants wishes, etc., etc., etc. As you've seen in the trailer, Steve Trevor from the first movie, who died, comes back. for some reason.
Yeah.
And that's the synopsis.
Now, may I just quote you, Steve, from our Mortal Engines
But of course.
episode? What a mess.
What absolute tosh.
What a mess this film is. Like you say, Alex, everything in terms of hype before this film came out, it was all going great. Everyone was on board. The first Wonder Woman film, I think we can agree, is a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
You know, I think we all like it. You know, it's not going to change the world, but it's a decent film. And that trailer, like you say, it makes it look like this film's non-stop action and Wonder Woman doing lots of Wonder Womering. And
Wonder Womering.
But what we get, spoiler alert, is a 2.5 hour movie in which 2 hours is spent with Wonder Woman not being Wonder Woman, and a plot that dances around so much that I'm pretty sure even the writers didn't know what was going on.
I don't know if I'd call this movie a mess. I would call it long, really long, and maybe just a little too full of itself.
A little bit. Why do we need what I'm going to call a 30-hour flashback sequence at the beginning of the movie that has no... Well, okay, look, I do understand thematically that it is meant to tie in with a moment later on in the film, but it's watery at best.
It could be better written, and I feel like we got two opening sequences. We got the Themyscira stuff, which we saw in the trailer, and then we got the mall shootout, which we also saw in the trailer.
Yeah.
I feel like a more capable writer would be able to contain these two scenes into a 20-minute bit. But this is like 40 minutes all up, I think.
And unfortunately that 40 minutes doesn't impact the film all that much. Yeah. It's you can kind of cut them and nothing changes. Other than we do see some bandits steal this rock that Diana will later find in her museum. But, I mean, that's a 30-second little bit before the title card you have to do. You know, that's all you need for that.
Yeah.
You don't even need to do it. You don't need to see it being stolen, really. It can just appear as it does in the plot of the movie where the FBI go, hey, we found this rock. Can you identify it, please? That's the opening of your film. Yeah, there's that first 40 minutes is tests your patience somewhat.
It bears no impact on the film whatsoever. You could remove it and that's it.
There's a lot of that in this film as well.
For a superhero film, there's no superheroing going on, as you say. Like, I was just like, where's the action-y stuff?
Where's Batman?
Well, Batman wouldn't...
He'd be a child,
He'd be probably be a child at this point. I want to try and work out where to start talking about this.
Yeah, there is a lot
and I'm not sure where to start talking about this because we're not here to fix the film either, but we do need to discuss it. And I think at this point we need to be able to be free to talk about spoilers because to come full circle with this, we need to talk about how things are paid off. So if you haven't seen the film yet, we're going to talk about things and be spoilery. If you have seen the film, stick around.
I would like to start, if I may, with two things. And I'm going to balance out this with a good thing, celebration, in fact, and then a bad thing.
Oh, we're doing sandwiches.
Yeah, we're doing sandwiches, all right? Ready? I'll start with the bad thing. No, I'll start with the good thing, actually. That'll be funnier.
Okay.
It is so great to see Hans Zimmer back. Not only just because he started the DC universe with Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, but this is one of his best scores, I think. It is so good.
It's a great score, yeah.
Great score. He uses themes from the other films he scored in this universe. As we've discussed, it's a shame that the Wonder Woman theme doesn't quite go as full electric guitar as we've heard it previously.
It's never been used well except for Batman v Superman. Yeah. That intro chills every time.
Sorry, Steve.
No, I was just going to say, I thought they did a good job with it in the original Wonder Woman film.
Okay.
But since then, I feel like it's continually been watered down.
A little bit, yeah. It's a shame. But that's my good thing. It was so good to listen to that soundtrack. It was actually fantastic. My bad thing, okay. If you hijack a jet and you need to escape, the last thing you would do before escaping is fly that jet through fireworks.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Okay, so let's set up to this. You know, this might be a nice little way of explaining some issues that we've got with the film. So the scene you're talking about there is that Diana and Steve Trevor, they need to get to Cairo and they can't work out a way to get there quickly enough. And they're like, oh, hang on, Steve's a pilot. Let's go hijack a plane. Now, he's from 1917 or whatever he is,
Yes.
World War I guy.
Yep.
He was a pilot then, jumps in a modern jet, can fly it. Easy.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. I've done it. Look at that. They fly through the fireworks at what appears to be 5 kilometres an hour, and they've set up the fact they need to get there as quickly as possible. Let's quickly divert and fly through some fireworks. That's an issue. Now, Steve at this point... For Diana's wish, she wishes that Steve comes back. And he does, but he comes back possessing someone else's body. Now, to Diana, he appears as Steve, but to the rest of the world, he still appears as the guy that, the meat suit.
This demon is possessing.
That... he's still, he's a guy that has had a life, who has a family,
I'm sure, who don't come looking for him.
And all of a sudden, Steve is possessing him. But throughout the film, we're shown it as Chris Pine. They go and rob a jet. They see this other guy's face when they steal the jet. And they're like, well, okay, FBI is now after this guy, had nothing to do with it. And his body is put on the line. They get shot at. This guy didn't sign up for any of this.
Nah, just a normal guy.
And just the film's going, just don't worry about that.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
The lack of empathy that Wonder Woman, who is meant to be a hero, has for this poor person who's had their body hijacked is actually quite alarming.
Her main concern as well is losing her powers. Instead of not the blatant ethical reasoning in another person hijacking another person. No, it's because she's made this wish. Now she's losing her powers.
Yeah. Oh, we should say, by the way, that the magic stone we were talking about, it grants you a wish.
Yeah, So
yeah, sorry everyone. Yes,
it's the monkey paw thing. So you get a wish, but it takes something from you. Now, in this, part of the story is that the character played by Pedro Pascal, who you might know from The Mandalorian or Game of Thrones.
I think he's in Kingsman 2.
He plays a man named
Max Lord.
And Max Lord has aspirations of being extremely powerful, and he's a bit of a loser. He's a bit of a dropkick.
Yeah.
And he, for whatever reason, we don't know why he knows about it, but he knows about this.
Yeah, actually, no, it glosses over that, doesn't it?
Sorry, I've been comparing this movie to Indiana Jones this whole time because there's a sequence where she's climbing underneath the truck. Then I realized there's a kid in there who looks exactly like Short Round as well.
And Indiana Jones was made in the 1980s.
That's correct.
Do you reckon that was deliberate? Actually, you know what made me laugh? When they are in Cairo, I thought, because there was actually a trend in 1980s action movies to have a desert scene.
Yeah.
Bond did it. We had Indiana Jones. We had Romancing the Stone, to name a few. And I feel like that this film deliberately went to a desert. I hate deserts in movies. I've had enough of them.
Can I apologize profusely, Alex? My mind broke.
That's perfectly okay. Hold on to those points because
sorry.
I believe they're really valid. So he's got this passion for power and stuff. And for whatever reason, he knows that the stone exists and that it grants wishes. And he knows for some reason that if he makes his one wish, I want to be the stone, it will absorb into him and he will be able to grant wishes. And part of that is that he can grant wishes to people, one and one only, but take something and choose what to take from them. Mm-hmm. And his choice is to take their power or their wealth or their oil or whatever.
Or their health.
Or their health even, because he's an oil baron of sorts and he's running this failing empire of oil rigs and stuff. And he gets the stone, he's able to do it, he's able to start, the oil wells start doing things and stuff, but he wants more. He's impassioned to have more. And I guess a part of this is that he becomes corrupted by the stone in a sense.
Yeah.
That his lust for power is continuing and grows.
And that's the thing, is that this is something that the film actually does really well. Is he starts out wanting to support his son.
Yeah.
And he wants his son to be proud of him and to live a good life. And so what the stone, he is the stone, but what the stone takes from him is, I guess, that clarity that he's doing, the reason he was doing it originally, and he just becomes power hungry in the end and forgets about his son in the end.
Which I thought, it's a beautiful tragedy at like 3/4 of the way through the film where the child himself wishes for the child to have his father's happiness.
Doesn't he say, I want you to be... Oh, I can't remember.
I wish for you to be happy. Something along but it's obviously taking away Max Lord's happiness or his goodness.
Yeah.
And I thought that's a wonderful this is alluding to some really, really good tragic themes, and I don't think they followed through on it.
No, and unfortunately, I don't think once all is said and done that this film ends in any way that has any answers. It just ends.
Yeah.
It goes, oh, everyone's saved, we're credits.
Now, I felt like Max Lord as a character is probably like all of his stuff in the film is fantastic.
It is. Pedro
all that stuff is great.
Pesto is absolutely
Pascal.
amazing. Pastel is so good.
Jimmy Pesto, yeah.
No, he is actually really good in this movie. Really good. You actually feel for him a lot until he starts getting really evil at the end. But yeah, you do feel for him a bit.
He's a villain, but not by choice, I would suggest.
and I
It's all
don't
this
think
power that goes to his head that he wants to achieve. And
Definitely doesn't think he's a villain. He can't see what's happening to him, basically.
No,
because
no,
the
that's
stone
right.
is doing stuff to him.
Now, the character that chooses to be powerful in a different sense is
Christian Wiig.
Kristen
Wiig,
Kristen Wiig. And what's her character's name?
I don't know.
Minerva.
Barbara.
Barbara. Barbara
you.
Minerva.
Yes, sure.
And
That's great.
Is that right?
Yeah,
okay.
that's right.
and she's a nerd. She's ignored by people, and her wish is to become. Well, she befriends Diana.
Yeah.
Very naturally.
And they get along, and she sees that Diana, Wonder Woman, has, all this prowess. Powerful, she's strong, she's attractive, she's all these things. And she wishes to have what she has. Unbeknownst to her is that she doesn't actually know that she's Wonder Woman, but essentially she's wished for that power.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, she starts to get it. She becomes powerful. She becomes attractive to men. She becomes...
Not to be messed with.
Not to be messed with.
Yeah.
Charismatic.
All these things. And it slowly corrupts her as well. And as we know, the wishes take something away from you. And in this case, what was valuable to her was her compassion, her humanity. And that starts to get pulled away, and I think that's cool. But
It was well done. I thought a few moments were a bit sudden, but it was, it's strange that the two villain characters were the most fleshed out.
I felt like her character was the example. Okay, it was. This is what the wishes can do, but I felt like they were doing such a good job in demonstrating that with Max Lord that there was really no reason for her character to be in this film.
Well, Wonder Woman needed someone to fight. Wonder Woman needed someone to have a fight with, and then they do that.
Wasn't enough.
Now, I'm going to say something about Christian Wiig's character, Barbara.
Kristen.
Christian. Christian.
Just keep talking.
Giant.
Joss Whedon. So, we all remember when Andrew Garfield was the best Spider-Man.
Yeah.
We remember that, right? So, he's the best Spider-Man. I'm sorry, I don't want to get into this now, but I just want to drop a fact.
Why'd you bring it up?
Because I just want to make sure that we're all educated, and now we can move on. Now, it did remind me a lot of the Jamie Foxx character in Rise of Electro. I can't remember what that film's called. This film does it better. I mean, I think we can all agree Electro is a little disappointing in that movie, but it was basically the same arc, I thought. Like, Jamie Foxx is the nerd, he walks into the building and drops his suitcase all over the floor, and literally exactly the same thing happens in this film, and then they get a taste of absolute power and it goes straight to their heads. I don't know if that's of merit, it's just it kept coming into my head.
No, I was going to add to that. This film made me think of two superhero movies in particular, and just how better they handled some of the themes they were touching on in Wonder Woman 84, and that was Spider-Man 2 and The Dark Knight.
Oh, yeah.
Because they touch on the fact that Wonder Woman feels like she can't do the job without her love for Steve Trevor. And her having Steve Trevor, she starts to lose her powers, which you saw in Spider-Man 2. As soon as Peter Parker decides, I'm not going to be Spider-Man anymore, things start going well for him. But I feel like we've seen that exploration of a superhero and the romantic interest and being compelled to be with them or not be with them in terms and it's been done better before. It's been done better before. Like
absolutely.
The Dark Knight, that's a central point in The Dark Knight, and it's done really well.
Like when Michael Caine comes out and he takes the letter from him without him, and he burns the letter, and oh my god.
It's been done better. I feel like that's maybe the underlining point with Wonder Woman 84. Everything in this film has been done better.
And I also, to that same point, I would suggest that this film's also Wonder Woman is trying to do too much as well. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know why this mistake keeps happening, but it always seems that when you have a successful one-off superhero film that for all intents and purposes, you could suggest is perhaps on a smaller scale to others. When they make the sequel, they go, we got to throw multiple villains in, we got to throw everything in, and it never works.
No.
Never works.
I was sort of asking myself today, like, how do they make these bad films?
Yeah.
I don't want to explicitly say the film's bad, but
Well, it is.
it just doesn't do the basics right. Like, why 1984?
Yeah.
And what is... If you're going to call it Wonder Woman 1984, aside from setting it in 1984, what are you giving us why it's set then?
Well,
what is the purpose of it being set then?
The 80s, because it was a very materialistic sort of time, and they're trying to touch on those materialistic sort of themes.
But as soon as you say 1984, you think of George Orwell's book.
That's true.
And
I mean, it does start to create a dystopia, but it's got nothing to do with watching...
I would suggest there's nothing in this strong enough to relate it to the George Orwell book 1984. So why call it... Just set it 1983 or 1985, you know. It doesn't seem like it matters it's 1984 specifically.
Why wasn't it Wonder Woman Rise of Cheetah?
I keep on thinking of your name's Tigress.
Is it Tigress, is it?
No, it's Cheetah.
It is Cheetah, okay.
Yeah. I think the real problem here is that there's one person involved in this movie that's just corrupted by power.
Oh, God.
And that's Patty Jenkins. Because she actually wrote this film. I feel like Patty Jenkins
No, she didn't write it. She came up with a story, but she didn't write it.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I feel like she's been given way too much leeway with this film. And that's why we have a film that is 2.5 hours.
It definitely shouldn't be 2.5 hours. It definitely needs to be shorter than that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this to like have a go at you, Steve, or as a joke. I legitimately mean it. Like Batman versus Superman, the longer cut, I can watch that and go, yeah, I understand why this is the length it is. But this film, I watch going, this needs to be shorter. You need to cut this down.
Mm-hmm.
They certainly do a lot to bash you over the head with themes about consumerism and wishes, and you're talking about a human construct that we're very well aware of. Stop punching me in the face with it, please.
Especially when they don't have a concrete answer for the problems they're presenting as well.
Yeah.
And if you're going to set it in 1984 and you're going to have a trailer that has a banging 80s track, one, use it in the film. Two, use more music from the 80s in the film.
Yeah,
what do they do? Neither of those things.
I was very disappointed by that.
Like, you've got so much opportunity. Like, yes, you've done the aesthetics of it. That's great. You've done the costumes. That's great. But, like, I didn't buy it otherwise.
An 80s version of the Wonder Woman theme.
Oh, that would be great.
Like that.
And Hans Zimmer could have done it.
Yeah.
He could have done it.
And like when Wonder Woman learns how to fly through the sky, spoilers, which we discussed, you should know that by now, spoilers, they use an already established, well-known song. They use Adagio in D minor, which is used...
Do they?
Yeah, in everything.
Huh.
It's not an original song either.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think it's the version from Kick-Ass.
I was going to say that moment where she learns to fly, I think is one of the best moments.
It's one of the best. It is
actually. Maybe just to counterbalance that again, but having talking of using music from other films, Hans Zimmer does a great thing at the end of this movie where he uses the same music from the opening of Batman versus Superman. Now, the reason it's great is that in Batman versus Superman, it's called The Beautiful Lie, and it's about Bruce Wayne pontificating about how he's tried to help Gotham, but it's all worthless. Rada. In this film, when they use that music, Wonder Woman is talking about the beautiful truth.
Oh.
And I thought it was kind of an interest. I don't know if it means anything. I mean, this film's pretty hollow, but I feel like it was an attempt to kind of counterbalance perhaps some other characters who, at this point, we assume still exist in this universe. I thought that was really interesting. I thought that was cool.
I want to make 2 points about the Wonder Woman character in particular. I thought, Gal Gadot was a lot better of an actor in this one, although really, really inconsistent. You know, when she's saying goodbye to Steve Trevor, I thought that was a beautiful moment, beautifully acted. But for the rest of it, she's pretty much just stone-faced Gal Gadot the whole way through.
I did think she walked through this movie.
Yeah. The second one is the theme they bring up with Wonder Woman is doubting whether she can sacrifice for the greater good. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Who's doubting that of Wonder Woman? You know, I feel like the first Wonder Woman film sort of set up how strong, how selfless of a character this person actually is.
Yeah.
I feel like the whole character arc for her is sort of retreading old ground.
It is. No, this is the issue as well, though, with the prequel problem they've got, because both the first Wonder Woman film and this one are set before we see her in the present day. So they can't... Well, I was about to say they can't do anything too dramatic, but actually, you know what? I reckon they've ruined the continuity with this film because
they don't care about it anymore.
Because this film gets pretty apocalyptic at the end, and then when you get to later down the line, no one seems to have any memory of it ever happening.
The only photo of her existing is this one from World War One.
That's
and they've got that action scene where she smashes the cameras, right? It's like cameras record.
That's not how cameras work.
That's not how cameras work. Like if you're running security on a mall, like they're recording to something.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, it was amazing. There was this woman who was in the suit and she had this big golden lasso and these things were happening and this is, hundreds of people can back this up. And like, no, we can't remember that.
That was possibly one of the flimsiest things is that this film tried to pretend that she would do this entire movie and then no one would remember her or see her or remember the events of the film.
And the first half an hour or whatever it is when they're doing the Olympiad thingy, which, looks lovely, is cool, but actually has no payoff to the story whatsoever, is that Diana as a young child is competing in this thing and she takes a shortcut. But she takes a shortcut because a challenge was thrown in a way and she finds a resolution to it.
This confused
me. And then she's prevented from winning this thing that she was going to win. It's like, no, you can't because you cheated. You can't cheat your way through these things. I'm like, okay, so the theme's going to be about cheating and taking shortcuts. And that's not what the film was about.
It's a little bit better.
I know, but Diana in that scene overcame odds against her to achieve.
This is why it made me really angry, is I thought, shouldn't you be congratulating this young girl for using her head and still... Not necessarily winning, but I think she was still coming first. I can't remember. But she's like, okay, I've lost my horse, but I'm not out of the race yet. Aren't we always told always finish the race?
Yeah.
Isn't that what we're always taught? It's like, no, just because you slid down a hill, you're scum. How dare you? I am ashamed of you. It's like, no. She used her brain, and she still competed and tried to get to the end.
If cheating's wrong, then Steve Rogers is a fraud. Captain America shouldn't exist.
I mean, it's not like she poison someone or sabotage someone. She just thought, I've lost my mode of transport. How else can I get there? And I honestly didn't think she deserved to be punished for that.
Again, I think that comes back to if you combined that Themyscira and the mole scene, it was better written. You had a better example of what we were just saying then.
Yeah.
I think it would set up the movie a whole lot better.
Shame that.
Talking about some practical issues, the CGI in this.
Not great.
Some of the worst I've seen.
Practical effects aren't great either.
So there's one that this is what I was talking to Steve about earlier when you had to tell me to be quiet. There's one that I actually look. I'm not usually that picky about special effects because I think if you're sitting there to pick apart a movie to that degree, you're not really enjoying the film. So even when a film's not got the best budget and the effects are, say, passable, I'll usually go, no, that's they're doing the best they can. Now, this film had a massive budget, loads of people behind it, and has some of the worst effects I think I've seen in the last 5 years. There's a shot where Wonder Woman goes to save some kids on a road. She uses her lasso, she attaches it to something. Like SpiderMan, you never quite know what she's actually swinging on. But as she goes to pick up these kids, it's a slow motion shot, and the kids move before she's touched them.
Yeah.
What were they thinking?
I want to say they probably overused slow-mo in this too much in this.
I mean, generally, that chase scene is actually quite good.
Yeah.
It's quite a cool action scene, but then it just has these really janky, poorly animated effects.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then in that scene, we've just established that she is able to speak Arabic or whatever it may be. And she sabotages this truck, and then she says to the guy who's driving it, who are the Middle Eastern Special Forces or whatever, in English, your brakes still work. And then the guy proceeds to crash off the side of the highway.
He just careers off and then crashes.
What are you doing? What a dick. That's a dick move.
I was very distracted by the efforts that the filmmakers went into making sure that Wonder Woman didn't kill anyone.
Oh no, I liked that. I liked. I mean,
I was distracted by it.
No, well, I thought that was the point. Is again, no. Look, even though us as filmmakers have forsaken any kind of filmmaking techniques that's been resembling cinema since the beginning of cinema, at least our main character doesn't want to hurt anyone.
Unlike in the first Wonder Woman when she shields everybody in the trench scene.
Oh, yeah.
Who then they go to proceed and just shoot the ever-living life out of the German soldiers.
That's right.
With a shotgun.
They were at war. It was different.
Yeah. Because doesn't she have a thing where she thinks that humanity is corrupt by Ares? And like that's the whole reason why...
Yeah, that's the first film, isn't it? Yeah.
But in reality, like it's just, humanity can kind of just be bad in a set. Like, I don't know. It's just the themes aren't as across it as I thought they could be.
Well, it's not a Zack Snyder film.
You're talking about smashing in the face with things, my word. But then, like,
Zack Snyder, I think you mean the male Patty Jenkins.
Wow.
Steve. Well, we may have to bring that up next,
Yeah, when we do Badly Suits.
The Snyder cut. Of Justice League. It's going to be interesting. But in this film, they established that a wish can literally, out of thin air, generate something. It can generate nuclear warheads, as we see the president request. We see the oil tycoon of Cairo manifest a giant wall all of a sudden. Why did Steve not
exactly
manifest?
I actually would
as a being.
It actually, honestly, would have been better and more heartfelt if he appeared out of thin air.
Yeah.
That's so much more of a miracle, isn't it, than him just possessing some poor guy's body.
And then we really see the magic of this stone and what it can achieve. Yeah. And imagine when, at the end, they talk about rescinding. I give up my wish. I don't need this anymore because for the greater good, I need to give this up. If, he got snapped out of existence and you saw that separation.
Yeah.
But I guess in this, they're leaving it open to maybe he didn't or whatever. But then I guess you see the guy later on, don't you, that he possessed.
And Chris Pine doesn't bring anything to this movie. I like Chris Pine.
She's charming.
He's great in Star
Trek.
Trek.
That's what he brings to her. But that's all Chris Pine is really good for.
She in the first film, she knows him for like a week, and then she can't go 70 years without, or 60 years or whatever it may be, without like.
I have to admit, I think she should just get over it at this point.
I feel like that was.
No, she does. She does.
Yeah.
The film establishes that she's got some sort of family because she starts a ranch
and she has a
named
daughter.
after him, and she has a daughter who she outlives, which we find out through photos and stuff. Why does she wish for that?
Wouldn't she wish? Wouldn't it be? Look, okay, I don't have.
I guess does it show that she's not infallible? Like she can, be forced to give in to other things that she
I'm
wants.
not a parent, but if I had a kid and I'd outlive them, if I had a wish, I'd probably wish to see my kid again. That's probably more. That makes more sense than seeing the bloke you spent a week with during World War I, doesn't it? Really? Like, come on.
You would think so.
You would think so. Steve's face is quite contemplative at the moment.
I'm thinking about the Steve Trevor thing in the context of both like this is a long thought, and I don't know if I want to express it here, but I'm thinking about the context of Wonder Woman having a love interest 60 years ago, being unable to give up that love interest, and how that translates to an audience, and it translates like one or two ways. It's either your character is dependent on a male savior, which for this movie is not a good message.
No, that's bad. That's bad.
More broadly, though, I feel like, and this is a more positive way to spin it. It's as a hero, you've got to learn to give up the ones you love to actually be the hero.
See, I don't like that.
Again,
that sounds like Rose in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
And that's just a stupid mantra, isn't it? Oh, that's how we win, not by, was it destroying the ones we hate? No. Saving the ones we love. Saving the ones we love.
Yeah.
As the giant death laser goes over her head and cracks open the door. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
We haven't really touched on it. I don't think we're not really qualified to touch on it, but I don't know what the feminist messaging with this film is going to be in the coming years.
That's the thing is, I have to admit, I would have thought that this film, you have two lead female characters in Wonder Woman and then Barbara, and I think that they could have done more. Again, like you say, Steve, I don't know if I'm qualified to say this, but I think they could have done more with them. I still think Ellen Ripley in Alien is a better feminist role model than this movie, and this film had more reason to sort of make sure that these women characters were strong and independent and all that kind of thing. So yeah, this dependence on Steve Trevor is a bit strange.
Yeah.
Don't look at me. I don't.
Oh, we're looking at you, Alex.
You both looked at me at the same time. Like,
what do you think of Chris Pine?
It's Chris Pine.
Are you dependent on Chris Pine, Alex?
No, I mean, I thought he was cool in the film. Like,
I like him
his
in the
acting,
first.
and he's super charming. And
I like him in the first one, but this, like, for example, it's in the trailer. I think the second trailer, the one I don't like, when he has to acclimatize to the 1980s fashion. And I saw that in the trailer and I thought, oh, that's going to be fun. Like him, going from 1917 to 1984, that's going to be fun. They'll have fun with that. But that montage in the film is just janky and not cut properly, and just
there's a jump cut.
Yeah, and there's a jump cut,
like like it doesn't have a payoff that why that jump cut is there. Like that doesn't match the pacing of the scene at all.
Like in that trailer, there's that wonderful line about when they're looking at the modern art as they're walking through the plaza, and he goes over to the rubbish bin and he goes, "No, that's just a trash can." In the trailer, it comes across as quite charming and funny. Just the way it's cut in the film, to me, it was just dead.
I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it. I wonder about the delay in this film as well. I feel like there was some rush to get it done for its original May release, and then COVID happened. And I wonder if these filmmakers think I can't touch this film anymore on fear that it's going to get released a month down the track, and then that month down the track gets extended into 6 months, like this example here. And whether Patty Jenkins is like, I don't know whether I can recut some of these elements and be done in time for these moving time frames.
They must have some sort of thing where it gets locked and that's it. You can't touch it.
Yeah. Well, I know the director of the new Bond film has said that it's locked, then because that's been delayed now by a whole year, and they allegedly haven't touched it. Apparently, it's a locked, finished product. Apparently,
that's interesting.
It is interesting. I mean, again, like I can see the positives. Again, you don't ever want to go in and fiddle too much and overcut something, but this film probably could have benefited from that.
Just tighten up the CGI.
So I went and saw this with my dad, right?
Okay.
And he turned to me at one point and goes, "What kind of film is this? Like, is it a what kind of film would you call this? Is it like a dramatic romance? Like, because at this point there was nothing to suggest that it was an action film.
No, well, there isn't any action really for a long time.
And I don't know what kind of film it is.
It's odd if you isolated Max Lord's story, it becomes a sort of a almost like a what do you call it? A Christmas Carol sort of movie, where the main character figures out, I've got these powers. What can I do with it? It's like the 90s film Blank Check, where a young child gives himself $1 million.
I could do with $1 million. If you'd like to support Trailer Island and its creation, be sure to write us a blank check.
I got nothing else I want to say about it. To be honest. I think we've gone through it with a fine tooth comb.
Hans Zimmer's score, though, that made me really excited for his Bond score. That's going to be great. If his Bond score's as good as this, can't wait.
Yeah. We've been talking for far too long.
Okay, the lights have gone out.
Dickens.
Let's give it a rating.
Out of what?
Out of what?
Magic Stone.
Oh, can we just also acknowledge that what's with the whole that shield thing that she gets, being able to defend against humanity, impermeable to everything, and then all of a sudden she gets in a small fight and it's destroyed by
some cat claws
in like 3 minutes.
Right. Yeah. I also want to know where her shield was from the first movie, and her sword as well.
Yeah, because she has that in Bat v Soups.
She does, yeah.
Why does she not have it in this one?
I don't know.
Why, Steve? Why?
I'll ask Patty.
Please do.
If you work for Disney, be sure to reach out.
It's not Disney, it's Warner Brothers.
If you work for Disney...
You're thinking of Marvel, aren't you?
If you work for Disney, please reach out to Warner Brothers. They desperately need you.
Oh, no.
Desperately.
Oh, dear. Okay, now, what tangible thing are we giving this?
Bum bags.
Bum bags?
If you've seen the film, that makes sense.
Yeah, bum bags.
Trash cans?
Trash cans.
Trash cans? Yeah, that's very American. But yeah.
Fireworks.
Invisible jets.
Egyptian guards.
Which she could all of a sudden do, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, what's that about?
Yeah.
Like, oh, by the way, I think I can make this invisible.
Do you remember this from the comic?
Would that have been handy when they were fighting Doomsday in Batman vs. Superman, that she could turn herself and other things invisible? I think it might have been.
Anyway, sorry, out of what of... Do you want to go with bum bags?
Bum bags, yeah.
Okay, bum bags.
Can I go first?
Yes, you may go first.
I'm just going to give this a pretty solid 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think Pedro Pascal's acting was fantastic. It's good to see Gal Gadot sort of grow as an actress as well. There were entertaining bits, but the high butt here is that the negatives really do outweigh the positives. I mean, personally, I don't see myself ever watching this film again. I would love to sit down and watch Wonder Woman, the first one, again. But yeah, I thought things were on the up and up after Shazam. And Shazam was a really fun film, and I thought
Shazam is good.
Yeah. I thought, we're getting into lighter territory. It's going to be nice and concise, but no, this is sort of just pandemonium.
May I?
Yes, you may.
I never want to see this film again.
Oh, God. One.
Yeah.
Matthew, it's the second week of the new year and you're going with one.
Go and watch Soul.
Yeah.
Don't see this. No. Always form your own opinions. As I always say, it was great to go back to the cinema and get the popcorn and the drink and everything. But I just wish I'd seen a better film.
5 stars for the popcorn.
5 stars. The popcorn was great. Yeah. No, 1 from me. I love Wonder Woman. I love the first one, and I love the Zack Snyder universe. But this was offensive.
Jesus.
Okay. Because I really liked Max Lord, Pedro Pascal's character, I thought he was fantastic. Mm-hmm. The score is fantastic. The last 40 minutes of the film, 40 minutes of the film with the action, everything that goes on, is fantastic. And all of that works really well. It's just everything else that just, we've spoken enough about it. But I will give it a 3 because I think there is enough there for it to be enjoyable. That's 6 out of 15.
Yeah.
A 1, a 2, and a 3.
I do need to say, I was just sitting there thinking that if I had the choice of watching Suicide Squad or this, I would absolutely watch this.
Okay.
So I might actually say 2.
But not by much, though.
But not by much.
Yeah.
But,
so a 7. It's saved.
It's no, saved. I will go up to a 2 because, like Steve says, and like Alex says, there are moments where the sun shines through and the filmmaking gods suddenly decide that things can work and people can have fun. You remember fun? Anyone remember that?
Okay, so Steve, you're not changing anything. You're staying where you are.
Nah, it's an interesting film to think about.
Yeah,
in terms of what they did with it, I feel.
Look, it's created heaps of discussion for us at least because we've been talking a while. The other thing being is that we were able to go to the cinema. I saw this in a cinema, and we have to say thank you to Wallace Cinemas as well.
Lovely Wallace Cinemas.
For providing support to the Trailer Island podcast. So Wallace Cinemas, based in Adelaide in South Australia, are providing support to this podcast. So we thank them.
Absolutely.
Particularly for this episode, and hopefully in the future they continue to help us out. So they've been fantastic. Should we just say goodnight now?
Can we go?
Can we? I think it's probably a good idea because that was... Yeah. Go see the film. If you haven't seen it and you've listened to this entire podcast, go see the film because I think it's a really good thing to sort of wrap your head around and go, okay, what can I take from this?
It'll be character building.
Like walking through a snowstorm in your bare feet.
Precisely.
Look, we've been the Trailer Island podcast. I've been Alex. I've been joined by...
Steve Trevor.
Oh, yeah. Your name's Steve.
And Cheetah. No, I'm Matthew.
Maybe that's the connection with the first bit with the whole you can't cheat, and then she becomes a cheater
because she cheats.
The villain at the end, and
maybe
we've fixed the film, boys.
1 star.
I don't even know.
All right, so you can find us on all the social media platforms. Please send us a message just with any requests or just if you're enjoying the podcast. We'd love to hear from you. We're on the Facebook, we're on all of them, aren't we?
On the Instagram.
On the Instagram, emails,
the Twitters,
Australia Post. Always happy to hear from you. And yes, good night. We'll see you next week on the Trailer Island podcast.
This is a Narrative Network podcast.